Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. K. Krishnan, postdoctorate assistant professor in sociology. Now we are discussing about the relative deprivation theory. We have a lot of theories related to a social movement, mass theory, mass society theory, relative deprivation theory, resource mobilization theory, and rational choice theory. But now we are discussed only in relative deprivation theory. Relative deprivation is a concept developed by Stauffer, introduced in his book of American Judges. It holds that one feels deprived according to the gap between expectation and realization. The person who wants little and has little feel less deprived than the one who has much but expects still more. Horton and Hunt says. Then the term relative deprivation refers to deprivation or disadvantage which a group experiences, not in absolute objective terms, but in comparison with their reference group. Relative deprivation is not measured by objective standards, but always in reference to another group. For example, the economic situation of school teachers may be improving. However, regardless of how much they are paid and how big a pay raise they get, they might still feel deprived if they perceive other non-gazetted government officials to be doing better. Therefore, relative deprivation is not to be understood in terms of the actual situation of a group of people, but in terms of how they judge their situation relative to another group. People can feel relatively deprived of tangible items such as money, cars, or intangible items such as social status or respect. People do not feel relatively deprived of material items. They also experience relative deprivation in regards to civil rights and justice. The feeling of being deprived can lead to social change and social movement. The next moving on, this theory suggests that people mainly experience feeling of deprivation when they compare their own situations unfavorably with those of other individuals or groups. Comparison can be made both with individuals with whom people interact and also with outsiders. What matters is which reference group the persons or group chooses as the focus of comparison. The emphasis on people's subjective frames of reference is a useful addition to the study of deprivation. But the concept itself does not determine at what point relative deprivation becomes objective than alternative deprivation. Next one is R.K. Merton developed a relative deprivation theory related to reference group. Walter Carey Runciman wrote a book in 1966 entitled Relative Deprivation and Social Justice. Selfish and egoistic relative deprivation is other form of relative deprivation. Walter Carey Runciman is a relation to reference and social problems of social inequalities and social justice. That occur link between relative deprivation and political violence in his book Why Man Rebel. Then we have discussed about the types of deprivation theory. First one is decremental deprivation occurs when the value capabilities of a given population decline due to one or several national disasters. Second one is aspirational deprivations. This deprivation occurs when the value capabilities of a group remain constant while the value expectations is increased. Third one is progressive deprivation. This kinds of deprivation are taking place when the value capabilities stabilize or decline after a period when value capabilities and value expectations have increased together. Her cites the examples of rioting in colonies when liberalizing tendencies and reforms did not result. In the study of social movements, the sociological approaches discussed above, in spite of their divergences, can become a theoretical guide for comprehending by the dynamics of social movements. Thank you.